Welcome to International Fest. My name is MacArthur Pierre-Louis, a Houston attorney who co-hosts this show to help educate the public on all things international. Today, we have a guest with us who is a king from Nigeria, His Royal Highness,
Good.
Mr. Eluojierior. He is the Onogie of Igueben. And we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to introduce the public to His Royal Highness and discuss with him his people, his culture, and his monarchy when we come back.
Yo, ça son couteau chanvré. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a au beau, yo t'en prie, dim pour qui ça changé, oui ça changé. Faut que t'aies gain et des peuples, oui pour nous ça manger. Pendant style gain haïtien, c'est un domaine qui mourir dans chanvré, oui dans chanvré.
Okay, thank you for joining us today. We would like to introduce the public to His Royal Highness, the Onogie of Igueben. And Your Royal Highness, thank you so much for making time to visit us.
Thank you.
And you are here not on a state visit, but on a personal private visit?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm here on a private visit, actually. And in my private capacity, I don't see anything wrong in talking to you.
Okay, great. And so we had started this show to want to educate the public basically about your story, okay, and let the Houston area public know or understand what it means to be a king, because that's not something that many Americans are familiar with. And so I wanted to just have you take us back in time and educate us about where your monarchy comes from and where originally did the Igueben people originate in Edo State, Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you very much. I am His Royal Highness Ehizogie Eluojierior, first JP, the Onogie of Igueben and Okaigun of Esanland. The name derives from the title I hold as the king of my community. Because, as you know, in Nigeria, before the coming of the British around the 18th century, you find every community, every kingdom was ruled by the king as the monarchy. That is why it is not a new thing it's not surprising to the British people what a monarchy is all about. But to the Americans, I know it's a new thing. And so in my kingdom, we have quite a number of other kingdoms within the district. Okay. What you might call a district is ruled by a chairman in my own place. What you will refer to as a mayor here in the United States.
Okay, so if I may, so the equivalent, just to help our American viewers understand, so the equivalent of a kingship in where you're from is equal to, say, a city that has a mayor.
Thank you.
So you would be considered the equivalent of a mayor, possibly, from where you're from?
Not quite.
Okay.
Not quite, because within that city, you have other kingdoms. Okay. These kingdoms are quite independent, yet they are more or less, I am one amongst equal in the kingdom, because I stay with the mayor or the chairman, as the case may be. Therefore, we have many kings many kingdoms within the district.
I understand. Okay, and now that's a present state of affairs, but could you take us back to as early as possible to where your kingdom can be traced?
Yeah, Essentially, Igueben Kingdom came into being around the 15th, 16 AD.
Okay. 15, 16, 80.
Yes. And the story is that the Benin Kingdom in that part of the world,
You're saying Benin?
in Benin Kingdom,
Okay.
Edo State, present Edo State, had its rule extended virtually most part of Nigeria.
Okay.
You know, and in those days, before the British came in, it was a matter of wars, intertribal wars.
Okay.
Therefore, the Benin Kingdom from time to time do engage in war of subjugation,
Gotcha.
you know, in an attempt to expand the kingdom,
Okay.
or repel any attempt to your invasion.
Okay.
Therefore, the warriors from time to time go on such missions.
Okay.
And it is in one of these expenditure that you had the name Ebe, the man Ebe, left Benin, leading other warriors to ward off some invaders.
Okay.
And they passed this particular spot of settlement, now known as Igueben.
Okay.
A year later, in
Let me ask you,
1516,
before we continue on, so just to recap the story, from the Benin Kingdom to
Yeah.
repel the invasion, this
Yes.
man, Eben,
yes,
he went through the area known as Igueben
present,
today
yes,
to
present.
repel who exactly?
Yeah, another kingdom we call the Ida in another from another area.
Another group of people?
Yes,
Okay.
another group of people. So he, being a warrior, was in charge of these other warriors that went after these invaders. And they passed this spot, and on their way back a year later, after succeeding in their mission, this particular spot they stopped to have a rest. They discovered all the things that were thrown away, all the pieces of yam and so on, had grown to become heavy
Yam, the
yams.
yam that was in the ground.
Yes, that means the place is very fertile and very good for them to settle. And they decided to send emissary. The Eben decided to send emissary back to the Oba. In those days, you have to take permission because that would be rebellious. To the Oba to say, oh, this place has been found to be so good. We want to remain here, settle here, and live here. And as usual, we'll take some items, some gifts to show the Oba that this is why we want to live here.
Fertile land. Okay.
And we don't forget that in those days, there was this Obas of Benin. Those days were very ruthless. So it is possible the Eben wanted a safe place, a safer place, and to have a leadership role, you know.
I see.
He decided to settle there and make the place a home.
I see.
And that settlement of the 15th, 16th century has gradually grown from a hamlet, a little settlement, to a city we now have as Igueben today.
I see. Okay, so from 1516, from the original settlement, all the way to now, can you tell us just how the development has occurred to what does the people look like now? What kind of agriculture?
Yes, it's a very, very interesting story. You have people who settled as warriors, as fighters those days, went into farming, farming of all sorts, yams, other crops and so on, gradually have developed from that level to other professions. You know, initially teachers, apart from farming, you know, teachers, you know, gradually lawyers and so on and so forth. Today we have great politicians, and all the amenities that we now have in a city, in a modern city, gradually we now have them. You know, it grew from a little hamlet to a village, and from village, because from time to time you have other people coming in when they hear of the exploit of the kings of that area. They want to belong, and they come in and settle because naturally a place ruled by king, you have, when they want to settle, the king will give them a place to settle. Yes. You know, that is how the kingdom continue to grow from place to place. And so the city, as of today, you have other villages, you know, coming from different places, not only from Benin now, okay, because it's a modern city, you know. And as of today, we have the 28th king of that place in myself. Okay. We've had 27 rule before myself.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about your monarchy and the lineage, but to help our viewers understand, where exactly in Nigeria is Igueben?
Yeah, Igueben is situated in Edo State. Edo State is in southern Nigeria. And initially, we had three regions in Nigeria. We had the northern region, we had the western region, and we had the eastern region. But gradually, we came to 4 regions. Midwest region added to that, making 4 regions. And it is that 4th region we have the West and the Bini people. You know, Benin is not a hidden group in Nigeria at all.
It's not a what group?
I said it's a major group.
I see.
And it is because they want that kind of recognition that we later had 4 regions, even though that was called a Western region. You know, and from such a region, we evolved to having 12 states, and then gradually to 19 states. From now we have about 36 states.
36 states.
And Edo is one of these, the 36 states, Edo State. In Edo we have the Benin, we have the Esan, which was corrupted to be Ishan by the British. Okay. Because when you want to find an easy way out in pronouncing, just like we are not Americans, we speak our language and so on, we just manage to, you know, have an accent to get you to understand what we are saying. And so the British called it Ishan. Got it. But in native language, we call it Esan. Okay. And so we have Esan in Edo State, and we have Afema, which are the 3 major groups of Edo State. Okay,
and we're going to take a short break, but before we do, and after the break, we'll talk more about the monarchy itself. But what types of languages, or what different languages are spoken in Edo State,
in Edo State,
or specifically in Igueben?
Yeah, that's exactly what I try to get you to know. In Edo State, we have essentially the Benin-speaking people. Okay. We have the Esan-speaking people, which corrupted becomes Ishan-speaking people. Correct. And then the Afema people, the Edo North. Okay. Edo North. We are the Edo Central, and then you have the Edo South. Okay. Or that is in majority.
Okay, but those are the people, but language-wise, do they speak all the same language?
No, it's not the same. It is true that we evolved from Benin. We don't speak Benin anymore. I see. We speak a unique language. In fact, the language of Igueben is even unique within the Ishan. That is why we say in Nigeria we have over 250 languages. We have a unique one in Igueben, but among Ishans. In Ishans, we do understand ourselves a little bit here and there, you know. It's very similar, but there are little differences, you know. In Afema, which is the Edo North, is a different ballgame. Okay. And then in Benin, where we evolved from, yes, the Igueben, because we were the last to leave Benin Kingdom, because it was a similar war that most kingdoms in Esanland left Benin. I understand. We were the last to leave Benin, and so our own language is peculiar. We add some Benin and Ishan, and we have a unique one. That makes us what we are.
I see.
You know, and that is the kingdom for you.
Okay, so whenever you have a mixture of different languages coming together to create a third language of sorts is what
Thank
you
you.
would call
They know exactly where we're coming from.
I see.
Because the language, the dressing, the what you do makes you unique.
Got it.
Makes the culture unique, and within the people, they know exactly where you're coming from.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. After the break, we're going to discuss with His Royal Highness, the Onogie of Igueben, a little bit about the monarchy itself that he sits upon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ça son couteau chanvré. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a au beau yo tant pris dim pour qui ça changé, oui ça changé. Faut que t'aies gain et des peuples, oui pour nous ça manger pendant.
Welcome back to International Fest. Today we have our guest, His Royal Highness, the Onogie of Igueben. And Royal Highness, welcome again.
Thank you.
I wanted to just ask you some questions on the monarchy itself. Now, you are a king, and the word king in your language is called Onogie.
Yes.
Correct? And I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
You're getting something.
So, as Onogie, does the word king capsulize it, or what exactly is it to your people?
Yeah, the word Onogie in my area is typifies the founder of the place, of that kingdom.
Okay.
That is the meaning there. If you have in Benin, the bigger kingdom where we come from, the name of the king is Oba.
Oba.
The Oba of Benin.
Got it.
The Onogie of Igueben.
Okay.
Then in the north, you have the Sultan of Sokoto.
Okay, Sultan.
Who is more or less the religious head of the entire Muslim people in Nigeria.
I see.
Don't forget, the northern part of Nigeria, you're looking at the Muslim, and then the southern part, you have different name for the king, for the monarchy, the head of the kingdom. In the Yoruba area, the west I mentioned earlier, you have Oba also, Oba of Lagos, Oba of Ibadan. The Oba, they use that name. Yeah, but down to Igueben initial, we have the Onogie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where does the Onogie hail from, come from? What's the legacy?
Yeah, that is what we just mentioned that the headship, the founding of the kingdom determines what name you answer as the king.
Okay.
You know, and I told you we evolved from Benin.
Correct.
You know, so virtually all the kingdoms in Esan, which I told you the British corrupted to be Esan, they answer Onogie.
Okay.
Onogie means the head of the kingdom.
Okay, so how many Onogie?
We have, in Esan, we have 35 Ehizogie. We call it, when it's plural, you call it Ehizogie.
Ehizogie, plural, but
plural.
Onogie.
Onogie, singular.
Okay.
Thank you. You don't have S for the plural.
Okay.
And so we have 35 in Esanland.
Okay.
And every kingdom is independent.
Okay.
Every kingdom is independent because that is the founding. What makes you a king? A king, you have to be, you are a founder of the kingdom, and you are supreme in that domain. You are not subject to another rulership. You know, that was why the British, when they came around the 18th century to Nigeria, they had to rule through the kings, which we call indirect rule. Correct. That was what was in place until 1960 when Nigeria gained independence.
Yes.
When we're talking of independence, America independence, is it 1776 or something?
Correct.
But we gained independence just yesterday here, 1960. And when the British were there, they rule through the king because they know that the people listen to their king more than dealing with government. In fact, during
Why is that?
Yeah, because in those days, before the discovery of oil in Nigeria, for example, which was around the 70s, the British needed to deal with the people. They needed to collect tax. They needed to rule. There's no way you can rule a people without, the taxation and so on. And that can only be done through the kings.
I see.
They could not interact with the people. Today we know education has taken us very far. But those days, you cannot deal with people at all unless with the king. And that was why when we gained independence, one can say even our own people, the enlightened people that took over from the British, the Ehizogie, the Eluojierior, and what have you that took over, they were more or less still ruling with the kings because they could not dispense with the kings. These are their own kings.
Exactly.
And that is what has happened over the years.
I understand.
Yeah. The politicians today, they rule, they still make use of the kings. Although we're not calling it indirect rule because they are part of the people, they have to consult with the kings in all they do, especially during politics.
Okay.
During elections and so on.
So you said that in Esanland, there's 35 kingdoms.
Yes.
But for your specific kingdom, how many Onogie have there been?
Yes, my Igueben, we've had 27 kings.
Okay, so you're the 28th.
I'm the 28th, and I'm still ruling.
Okay.
I have ruled for more than 30 years now, and by God's grace, I'm still there.
Yes, in fact, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
This year is your 30th,
30th
anniversary on the throne, correct?
Yes. Okay. And during such ceremonies, the whole kingdom come together to celebrate with me. People from outside the kingdom who have been hearing of me or who are my friends and so on, they all come around. And it's a week-long activity. It's a big program.
I see. And I do have in my hand a compilation written by Dr. Pascal Abhonomen, who wrote a book on the monarchy, okay, specifically in a biography about you. Has there been other books written on other Onogie like this?
Don't forget where we are coming from. I told you the independence of Nigeria only occurred in the 60s. Between 60 and now, I think we are celebrating our 50-something independence. Right. We didn't have that opportunity to have enlightened kings. Even during my father's reign, which is between the 30s to 50s, he was just a high school, literate man. And even at that stage, he was a secretary to the Benin monarch, the Benin Oba, because he was better than others, Yes. Then you will understand that you understand where we're coming from. If the first teaching hospital we had in Nigeria was founded about 1948, then you're thinking of the universities that came up after that. You know that we didn't have literate Onogie or Oba and so on. Only very few of them because they did not have opportunity to go to the foreign land, to go to school or something. So, and in fact, it's only now we're having literate head of the kingdom. Because, as I told you, the kingdom in my own place is hereditary.
Yes.
It's from father to eldest son, eldest surviving son, where female are barred from the throne. There are some kingdoms, it is not that system that exists.
Okay.
It could be 3, 4 families founding that kingdom, and it will rotate from one kingdom to the other.
Family to family.
I know that happens in the west, which where you have the Obas.
I see.
In the north, where you have the Sultan and the Emir, have their own system of inheriting the throne. So but going to Igueben is from father to son, hereditary, and from the Ehizogie to me, to my position as the king of Igueben, I will say the 28th king. You understand that that will depend on how a king stays on the throne before you get another one. Sometimes succession is very quick, because those days it was battled. I mean, to get to the throne, you have to pass like the eye of a needle, getting through, that kind of thing. So you have a situation where in Benin, for example, the present Oba is about the 38th Benin that has existed for centuries.
Wow.
And you have our own from 15th to 16th century, talking of 28th. So I think the succession in the case of Igueben have been quick for reasons, for many reasons. If after the demise of a king, if the heir apparent, the crown prince, is not ready for the throne because of the age, then you have what you call a regent.
Okay.
A regent is the uncle who stays there until maturity.
I see.
The
maturity is what age?
Maturity is 16, about 18.
18 years old.
Yes, it's 18, usually 18.
Okay.
And you have to go through the traditional process of being the king, and then the government will recognize you. That is the law.
I understand. Okay, and I just wanted to ask, specifically, what about your duties as...
as the monarch, as the head. In those days, it was purely, the duties in those days, before the British came in, the judicial, the executive, and the legislative duty of the people rests on the king. But as you know, by the time the British came in, destroyed that system and enthroned their system, what you had is they now use the king, especially those who are literate and so on, they take charge of the courts, for them. And then added to that, they still play their role at the village level, using their own chiefs and elders and people to rule the various villages and so on. And so the duties is all encompassing.
Duties is all encompassing?
Encompassing, because they form the mouthpiece of the entire kingdom, using other people to rule. That is why today what you still have is they act as advisor at different level to the government. Okay. Yes, using their own chiefs and so on to rule the various villages. And that is why we have a name for the chiefs. Those we install to help look after the villages, we call them Okaigun. Okay. Okaigun, that means those who talk on behalf of the king.
I see.
That is the name. And usually such a relationship in those days, for example, if they were collecting tax, the chiefs and some elders will help do the collection on a percentage during the British rule. And today, virtually no tax, because we have the oil. We have the oil and the allocation from federal government flowing down to the local government and to the people. And so rather we benefit from the government, from our natural resources. I think just now we are seeing that there is a need for a review of the whole process, because the price of oil worldwide is going down, and there will be need to use other resources, to run the government. So basically, we get remuneration partly from the government by way of stipend, and then your people who appreciate your role today.
Okay. We'll take a pause right there, and when we come back, we'll discuss you personally and talk about your biography.
Thank you.
Okay. We're with His Royal Highness.
So the relation, the kingmakers will meet when it happens. It's always very quick.
Yes.
It happens, and then you are brought in, and then you begin to undergo the processes of, initiation, king-making, and what have you. Because this was what people will ask me, how come you know how to do this or do that? No. As soon as you come